What's up YouTube, Webbers5 here, coming at you today with an updated deck profile of White Forest for the new September 2025 ban list, which naturally just got revealed yesterday. So I did a reaction with it with Team Sorcerers, just sort of a reaction discussion with it. Dark Magician 84 is currently editing and uploading that, so go check that out on our channel once it's uploaded. It was really fun. It was really great to discuss everything with the team and for us to do something together. So I'm sticking with White Forest this format because, frankly, with all the hits that just happened on the new list, I think we've got a really solid chance of doing well. So I'm sticking with it, and I've come up with a few alterations to help combat the meta. So without further ado, guys, let's get into the profile. Okay, guys, so started the profile off with the White Forest side, which frankly has not really changed too much since the last profile, but for the format, I'm going with 3 LZ, 3 Sylvie, 1 LZ Azamina, 1 Tails, and 3 Witches. 3 Witch. So basically kept my ratio the same. I did try testing LZ Azamina at 2. Frankly, I found it doesn't really do too much. It just kind of bricks a bit more, so I just put it back to 1. And I was tempted of switching around maybe these ratios to put something else in, like say Rushia or an Astella, because I've seen lots of builds bringing that back in, but I'm frankly quite happy with my build as it is, so I decided to just keep it this way for the moment. Next, going into the Diabell Sinful Spoils package. So first the standard 1 Vengeance, 1 Diabell's the White Witch, 1 Filia, and 1 Curse of Diabell. They're not exactly the best one-offs to hit into, guys, but naturally they're all kind of essential to the strategy of the deck now. So just have to go with it. Then into the Sinful Spoils package. So that's 1 Diabell Star the Black Witch, 3 Wanted, 1 Sinful Spoils of the White Forest, 1 Deception, 1 Hallowed Azamina, and 1 Sinful Spoils of Slumber Morian. Still liking this as my ratio. Naturally, Deception, great to give you access to your Hallowed Azamina for your fusion plays, which is really useful. And also quite liking the rarity bump I gave some of my cards with the Megatins, so for those of you who might be able to see, rarity bump more into an Ultra and Hallowed Azamina to a Prismatic Secret. But yeah, quite happy with this as the ratio. I did think about playing maybe some of the other Sinful Spoils because of something else I wanted to try, but compliments of the reprints in the tin, I found an easier way of doing it, and I'll get into that right after this. Okay, so the new addition that I threw in, guys. I've thrown in 3 copies of Nightmare Apprentice and 1 copy of Diabell's the Original Sin Keeper. Now, the reason I've thrown this card in is essentially to help the deck a bit dealing with Dracotail. Since Dracotail has such a tremendous ability to play on your turn, and when they summon off, they just bounce your stuff, which makes it more difficult, and then they set their own stuff, which makes them being able to play a bit more. So Diabell is kind of just there to help a bit, because with Diabell's effect, you can that forces your opponent to have to set spells and traps before they activate them, which isn't a huge deal. But with the secondary effect, if your opponent sets something, you can target a card on each field and destroy them both. So with Dracotail, naturally, when they fuse from hand, they can set stuff from the deck. So then you could just essentially use that to your advantage to just spot remove anything that you find as a threat. And the problem we had with Diabell's the original Sin Keeper in the past was that she just wasn't easily accessible, like in Archetype, because it's a level 7 Diabell, which means you can't search it with Filia. The easiest option we had was Subdual, but Subdual prevents you from using the effects of the monster that you summon, which isn't great. Which is why I'm really glad they reprinted Nightmare Apprentice and dropped its price down, because now Nightmare Apprentice, discard a card, special summon it, search on summon, search an illusion, search this, or if you've already got this, search like something else. And then with Diabell's effect, if you've got a Sinful Spores in grave, easily special summon it. Easy. And then it's just live there to help dealing with Dracotail. I also think I'm going to like this as an option now that with the recent ban list, True Draco is going to become a thing again. So this is like another way that you can start slowing them down, because if your opponents say, well, maybe they've got the spells and traps already. Naturally, if True Draco's setting something into the back row, the intelligent thing is don't pop it, because they're just going to pop something of yours after you do that. But probably the idea is hope that they don't have a way to tribute summon first, and at least force them into the tribute summon before they have to commit to it, before they try and go into Diagram. Because essentially the idea of it would be really useful if your opponent's trying to do Diagram. Okay, so that's it for the Diabell side. Next up, going into Handtraps. So I'm playing pretty standard. 3 Ash Blossom, 3 Molchami Furlos, and 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. I took out the Effect Veiler I took out Effect Veiler and Imperm because frankly I'm finding with the current format it wasn't really doing as much. So I kind of took them out and opted on something that I thought would be a bit more useful. And I'm now kind of glad I threw in the Ghost Ogre with the natural returns of things like True Dracos and Zodiacs. So that should be a decent. So Ogre should be a good help in terms of slowing them down. And then the last card is just to round out the deck. 3 Super Polymerization. I've been rather enjoying playing a Super Poly variant of the deck. I've also been finding some pretty useful combos that I can do with Super Polymerization in tandem with some of your own strategies, which I can get into I'll probably do after the deck profile. Just a quick idea of some stuff that you can do. But yeah, Super Polymerization, naturally, really great outs. There are lots of good generic targets that you can use as Super Poly targets. The other advantage I find with it is it can just help me push for game because I can use the 2 Diabells, Vengeance, which is a high level fiend, White Witch, which is an illusion that makes Regina, and then you can just hit for big damage off of that. The two one-ofs because Banlist said so. 1 Triple Tactics Talents, 1 Call by the Grave, relatively self-explanatory. And to round off the deck, playing 2 Foolish Burial Goods and 2 of the Black Goat Lofts. Yes, guys, I finally was able to pick up some copies of Black Goat Lofts. So naturally, that's really useful going into certain matchups just to prevent them from interacting with you while you're trying to set up. And also the advantage I find with Foolish Burial Goods is combining it with Diabell Queen. I can use goods to send side decks. I can send side deck back row to the grave and then add it straight back with Diabell Queen, and then I've got it easily accessible. Okay, so that's it for the main deck, guys. Going into the extra deck, which frankly not a tremendous amount has changed with the exception of probably the Super Poly targets, but first I'll just get into the White Forest. So standard White Forest side, 1 Silvera, 1 Roselia, 1 Diabell Queen, 1 Poplar, and one Snake Eyes Vengeance. One Snake Eyes Vengeance. So, all pretty standard stuff. Don't feel the need to play more or less, because naturally, with the White Forest gimmick, once they're used up, you can use the tuners to send them back, to put them back. Makes it easy to use. Poplar I've been finding is so useful, so much more useful recently, particularly in the Super Poly, particularly with the Super Poly variant, which again I'll get into the interesting combo of what I can do with that. Also, guys, really happy that this got a reprint in a higher rarity. Going into the Azamina side, playing one Ilya Silva, one Murachilago, one Moa Regina, and one Saint. So Saint, I'm still finding is one of the best fusions right now, because of the number of decks that just need to do stuff with their grave to go off. I've had quite a few matchups at my locals, guys. I've summoned this, my opponent just can't play, and my opponent's like, they can't play. And it's just great. Then other fusions I'm playing. One Magistus Chorozo can works as a somewhat generic super poly target, as your deck's pretty much entirely spellcasters, but naturally can also combo well into the using Murachilago for the combo that it does in White Forest, which sometimes I do still forget how it works, but sometimes it does come up. Playing one Snake Eyes Doom Dragon. I took this out for a bit because I wanted to try some other stuff. However, now but I had like one spot left in my extra deck, so I figured, you know what, I'm gonna give Doom Dragon another try. Also, I think this could be fine for the format, as I'm maining Super Poly, because with the updated ban list, naturally a lot of Snake Eyes stuff, just like Poplar and Ash, just got released, so I think Snake Eye could make a return into the format, and as such, that subsequently makes it a Super Poly target against Snake Eye. Then my last sets of Super Poly targets. One Garura Wings of Resonant Knife. Naturally, really easy, really generic thing that you can Super Poly into. And latest addition I had for Super Poly target, after having it used against me playing Dracotail, I thought I'd give them a taste of their own medicine. Secretarial Dragon. So for those who haven't seen this card, the requirements are basically exactly the same as Mysterion the Dragon Crown. Has the same drawback that it loses 100 attack for each of your banished cards, but unlike Mysterion, who has the effect that when your opponent summons something, you can banish everything of that type, Secretarion just has a continuous blanket effect that your opponent's special summon dragons and spellcasters can't activate their effects, which going against Dracotail means they can't do any. Means they basically can't do anything. And that's just great. How did I come up with doing this? Simple. Dracotail did it to me, so I'm going to do it back to them. And then last cards to round off the extra deck. One Chaos Angel. Just a great thing to synchro into off of Poplar on your opponent's turn. And one SP Little Knight just for those situations where you need it. And going into the side deck, I need to actually tweak this a bit to figure out once I see what the format's going to be like, but this is what I've gone with for the moment. So I'm currently on a 3 DD Crow. Typically when I'm not sure what I want to play in my side deck, DD Crow I've always found is just a nice, solid option, because there's very few situations where I don't want my DD Crow. 3 Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, because this card's just really good against the Yummy matchup, because they summon their synchro, you summon this, get get your draws, and from what I've seen, most of the Yummy effects target, so good protection in that. Additionally, guys, another advantage of Phantasmate for the upcoming format. Naturally, Snake Eye come back and they do a lot of link summoning, so could be useful against them as well. Moving into my spells, playing two copies of Lightning Storm. Yes, I understand this card just came back to 3, but I don't actually have a third one right now. I'm not actually sure if I'm going to keep Lightning Storm in my deck, but I kind of like having... But I think I'm probably going to keep around with it for back row removal, particularly as things like True Draco are back into the format with the amount of floodgates that they can play very easily. Like, being able to just clear out True Draco's back row gives you a really good chance to just take the game. Then, one copy of Sinful Spores of Subversion Snake Eye. Naturally, because you play Diabell Star, this is searchable, decent, and just a decent form of spot removal against a problematic monster. And then last spell, Harpy's Feather Duster. Again, things like True Draco, Floodgates, self-explanatory. Okay, going into the traps into my side deck. First trap I'm playing, Dark Magician 84. Please forgive me for this. Please hear me out as well, though, for me playing this, because I know how much you hate this card, and how much I have hated this card, but in this deck, it works. One copy of Anti-Spell Fragrance. So opted to choose to play this because I know how useful it is against decks like Dracotail and Yummy. Yes, it's a bit of a hindrance to me, but the advantage in White Forest is because you send your spells and traps to activate things, I can just, if it's a problem for me, I can go, affect them my White Forest, get rid of this, do what I want, and then if I can still make Diabell Queen, I can add this back to have it ready on my opponent's turn. So in that case, it's got a bit more flexibility use in the deck. Then playing one copy of Dragon's Mind just because I do a lot of my siding tends to go around going second. I do need a couple of going first options as well. Similar to like with Anti-Spell Fragrance, that's a good going first option. Dragon's Mind is just like with Judgment hit to 1. This is a pretty decent option for this deck since you play monsters with 2500 original attack or defense, and then the secondary Grave to set itself at the cost of 25. Pretty good. And last card in my side deck, bit of a slight kind of techie side, but I am opted to play 3 copies of Gravity Collapse. So for those who haven't seen what this does, when your opponent summons a monster, you send a face-up synchro you control to the grave, negate the summon, which is the main effect I know. The part I forgot it does is that after you negate the summon, it prevents your opponent from summoning monsters for the remainder of the turn. So this is now just a way for White Forest to completely just potentially shut off your opponent's turn right there. Because I mean, so many other decks in the meta have been doing that. That's why Dice Smashers just got banned. Here's my thoughts, guys. Now that some of these decks have been like hit, weakened down, maybe now it's our turn to shine, and now it's our turn now it's just our turn to mess with the opponent and stop their turn in one card. Just an idea. Okay guys, so that was the profile. I hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below of what you thought about it. And if anyone's got like any suggestions of things they think I could try or stuff that you want to try, also leave a comment down below on that because I like to hear and see other ideas from people. Thank you very much for watching guys, and I will see you next time.